Hi, I'm Andrew from Gameosity, and if you're lucky and like me, you find yourself in this post-holiday glut with a bunch of new games that you've got to punch out, organize, and put away. So today, instead of just talking about the games, and all of these games are great, by the way, we want to talk about some of the third-party organizers and inserts that we use to kind of get control of the chaos a little bit. So the first kind of insert that we're going to talk about is from Broken Token. They're probably the best known on the market today, and they certainly make a wide variety of inserts for a bunch of different games. We've highlighted them in our reviews before, but really they're worth talking about because they make really high quality stuff. Let's take a look at what they've put together. So we've seen a couple of Broken Token inserts on our reviews before, but the Dead of Winter one in particular I think bears repeated viewing because, as you can see, Broken Token inserts like to use the components themselves to hold everything in. They use the compression of the full boxes to keep things in place. And all Broken Token inserts put an emphasis on speeding up setup time, so the organizers tend to be able to come right out of the boxes to be used as component trays. They've even taken the opportunity to use some of the space that they've created to do sometimes little upgraded tokens, like this start player marker that you can see from across the table, rather than one that sits on top of the table and is invisible. And the way they've got the cards organized, this is the Dead of Winter organizer, as I said, and has all the location cards and all the different types of cards, and the slots are slanted so that when you store them vertically, the cards stay in place very nicely. Occasionally there's a little bit of component slippage, but honestly it's not a big deal, and it really does speed up setup and teardown time. Now, the insert that I have for Seven Wonders, and you'll excuse my extremely well-loved, beat-up Seven Wonders box, what I love about this insert is that it makes it possible for me to store all of the expansions, and Seven Wonders has a lot of them, all in one place. So essentially, the Babel board is right here, and as soon as I take everything out, you can see that almost everything that is available for Seven Wonders is in this box. And so I've got player boards here that I'll store that way, component trays again for all the different expansions and all the different bits. All of these things come out and can be placed on the table. So you've got your money, and then you've got your warfare stuff, and they even have some burned in symbols that tell you where components need to go, and again, card slots that use the compression of the components in the closed board in order to keep everything in place. This one perhaps closes not quite as well as the rest, but that may just be because my components are starting to warp because I've had them for so long, and I can't really blame the insert for that. Broken Token inserts are great. They're always high quality, and they assist in setup and teardown really easily. They go together very nicely. They're easy to assemble for the most part, and considering the breadth of games that Broken Token makes inserts for, and the relatively low cost of their inserts, they're an extremely reliable company to get these aftermarket inserts from. They really add a nice element to the game. I like to sort of treat my favorite games to a nice insert, and so I'm always happy to put a Broken Token product in one of my games. The next type of insert that we want to talk about is from a company called Meeple Realty. They make ultra high quality inserts that are all, for the most part, extremely unique, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a second when I open up this box. They tend to be a little bit pricier than Broken Tokens, but the quality is extremely high and very, very functional. They've got a smaller library of games that they've made inserts from, but that's hardly surprising given the engineering that goes into each of them. Why don't I open a couple of these games up and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here we've got the Five Tribes insert partially unboxed because I got excited. Essentially, you can see that there are trays for the genie cards and for the terrain tiles, and that pops right out to aid in setup. Each of the player storage units can hold, you can see I've got the expansion in here too. It can store everything for each color, and that tray comes out, and you've got trays for the money. These sometimes slip one into the other when you're storing it vertically if the box isn't perfectly compressed, but honestly it's really very easy, and it stores everything. Got all my meeples here, and my these should have been a single piece, I think, but whatever, and all the different scoring sheets all stored in one place. Very easy to put away, very easy to store. It means I can the insert that came in Five Tribes was actually really nice. It was very molded. Somebody really cared about that insert when they put it together, but I find this one is that much easier because it lets me set up and tear down, and I don't have to take everything out of the box in order to get everything onto the table, such as it were, and just store everything just like that. Now, this is a more basic kind of insert. In fact, I think it's one of the most basic Meeple Realty puts together, and it's easily on par with anything else I've seen. Where you get into the really interesting stuff is like the insert for Castles of Burgundy, my top 5 game of all time, incidentally. This is what you get when you finally put it all together. And it can be just a little bit fussy to come apart, but as you can see, each player gets a dice tower where they can store their components, and during the game they can roll on the dice tower, and that's fun. Each player gets one of those, and then for the other components, I'm just going to get this out of the way. For the other components, all those hex tokens, you have this that, I'm going to be honest with you, is amazing, and it's mostly empty because I don't have as many expansions as I'd like, but the quality of how it comes together is extraordinary. Each of these little dividers is movable. You can organize it to whatever makes sense for your brain. I will be perfectly honest with you, this was a bear to put together. Like Jess struggled for a long time, and they say it right on the site when you order this from Meeple Realty that it's going to be a challenge to assemble, but it's definitely worth it. I mean, if you look at this, everything has a perfectly suited little place for it to socket into. These trays actually have a base that is angled so that the hexagonal tiles will sit up and down, and I haven't done it yet, but there's no reason why you couldn't color in these burned-in, etched meeple symbols for each of the different colors. This is a fine example of how high quality the inserts from Meeple Realty are. They are a little pricey, they are challenging to assemble, and they are completely worth it. They're excellent designs. They sit very nicely on the table. They organize everything in a really logical and meaningful way. And overall, I can't recommend them enough. For the fewer games that they have inserts for, obviously they're putting together new inserts all the time. But for the few games that Meeple Realty has inserts for, I think you'd be hard pressed to find another insert that will compete with them for quality, if not ease of assembly. Now, the last thing we want to talk about today is not an organizer per se, not one that's designed to organize the box components, but rather something that's intended to help with organization on the table itself while you're playing. Terraforming Mars has an amazing insert by Meeple Realty, we just talked about, but if you just want something that's going to help you during gameplay, there are fantastic, really affordable player board overlays by a company called Board Game Boost. So this is a player board from Terraforming Mars featuring the overlay. And you can see here that you can either get just the Plex that sits on top of the player board, or you can get a wood backing that makes it much thicker and it holds the Plex in place. And to me, if you're going to splurge on getting the overlay, you kind of may as well get the backing, although there's a bit of a price difference between the two, although not that much, honestly. And so here you can see a board that's sort of in use, and what this lets you do is it makes it so that it's unlikely to have casual movements knock things around. Most importantly, these tracks, which are the sort of important bit of keeping track of what your income every round is. If any of these slide around, then it's easy to kind of lose track of where you were. Whereas with this insert, these are locked in place very nicely. And in fact, this isn't even just a row. There are little teeth that hold it in place side to side, so you actually have to pick it up and put it into the next slot when you change your value. And there are also these little diagonal spots that they put in to multiply plus 10, or imply plus 10 rather. So you can, because in the game you can increase your values above 10, it makes it much more easy to visualize that. And so this player board organizer, if you're not going to buy the full-blown, huge insert from a company like Meeple Realty, what you have in this is a really elegant solution to just a really simple problem. That if you have little cubes on a piece of cardboard and something jostles it or you brush across it, you lose your place and you have to kind of remember where everything was. With this, very easy to keep track of. Very nice. Board Game Boost makes a bunch of overlays just like this one for a lot of different games. So if you've got a game that you don't necessarily need a storage solution for, or if you have a game that you think just desperately needs something like this to aid in organization during gameplay, then there's certainly a really great site to check out. They've got an Etsy page, and we'll provide links to everything in the description below. And those are a couple of our favorite organizers. We love board games, obviously, but they do tend to create a little bit of a mess component-wise, and so it's nice having these organizers and these inserts to get you to the game faster. Did we miss any of your favorites? Those are three of the most common that we've run across, but there's a ton out there on the market. If you've got suggestions for other inserts or games that desperately need an insert, let us know in the comments below. Anyway, I'm Andrew from Gameosity. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next game.
Enjoy that review? Then please like, comment, favorite, subscribe, and check out our full reviews on Gameosity.com.